It's the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast with Alex Trataros, John Meleka, and Raisi on the beat. Let's go.
What's good, everyone? Alex Trataros here with another Jets episode of the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast. And with me, as always, my buddy, my cousin, pal, the man with the plan, the one and only John Meleka. And with us, as always, video producer extraordinaire, Greg Albert. We're here. Don't worry. This is going to be a two-parter for you guys, all right? This is going to be a two-parter episode. We're going to talk about the Jets, give you some updates, training camp-wise, Zach Wilson being back and breaking it down. But the second
training
part...
camp.
Oh,
this is not a Knicks episode, my friend. We are deep in the hell right now.
Yeah, you're right. Season. You're right. Facts. Had a little brain fart there. It's all good, man. It happens to the best of us. But the second part of this, we're going to have Thomas from the Still Curtain, the fan-sided podcast. He's going to help us break down this Jets Steelers game. So stay tuned for the second half of this podcast. But guys, it's the first half. You know, unlike the Jets, it's going to be better. So let's get into this. Greg, John, how you guys feeling today? What's happening?
Everything is good with me, man. Check out our last episode on the Knicks pod where we have Raisi Mobele from New York Jets media and New York Knicks media. We talk about the Knicks training camp, which is, what you were alluding to there because you're fully in Knicks mode, and I understand it. But do we have a big Jets game this weekend? The Jets have a really rough schedule the next 5 games, as we talked about. So we'll get into this big Pittsburgh game coming up on the road or I'm still calling Heinz Field. I don't care that that they took down the catch-up. It's still Heinz Field for me. That's huge. I'm on Aaron Judge watch now that the Yankees won the AL East. I'm going to be in the Bronx all weekend. Rangers we got coming up. So I'm in a good mood right now, just in general. And I know last episode I was down bad about the Jets, and I'm slowly starting to turn here. So what's up with you, Greg?
Yeah, to your point, like that Richie episode that you guys did, it was great kind of previewing the Knicks a little bit and getting into almost like player by player, going down what the expectations are, kind of just highlighting stuff that happened with them in the offseason and talking about content day over at the Knicks facility, and then going in the back half of that episode, or back third of that episode, kind of calming us down a little bit on the Jets stuff. I'm in a weird spot because part of me is just like, okay, listen, we said we wanted to be 2-2 coming out of these 4 games before the season started. Don't freak out. We don't have Zach Wilson. To Richie's point, the whole point of this season is figure out what we got with Zach, and that hasn't even happened yet. So, in a way, the season's just kind of starting for us. We got
Zach is back.
Extended preseason. Zach is back. But on the other side of the coin, we could easily be 0-3. This is a must-win game to get to 2-2, and I'm freaking out about the Steelers. So I still don't know where I land yet. It's still early before Sunday. We just have to win this game. It's that simple. It's a must-win.
The worst part is it's a must-win for both teams, man. It's a must-win for both teams, and that's why I'm terrified.
It's the worst part of the
It's the worst part of it, man.
Richie talked me off the ledge a little bit, so I like the game still sucks, still a sour taste. But looking ahead, Steelers Jets matchup. Look, happy that Zach Wilson's back. He says
full
100%.
Practice, baby.
Full practice, 100% ready to go. I'm ready.
Every good word in the book.
you hear Garrett Wilson saying Zach was throwing these precise, through tight window passes. That's the stuff I need to hear, man. It's the stuff I need to hear. I need to hear that he's ready to go, prepared for this game, because John, you already said it. It's important for us, man, to go 2-2. If you want to even have playoff chances, hope alive, stuff like that, we got to be 2-2 because, as you said, the schedule, we're going to have Miami next. We're going to have Green Bay. It's a gauntlet, man. It's a gauntlet coming
New
up.
England, Buffalo.
Denver, Buffalo, New England. Yeah, these are tough games.
Week, back to the Patriots. Yeah, it's only getting harder from here. But, dude, we have good news. I mean, we talked about it. Zach is back. That's the great news here. The worst news is that George Fant is officially on IR.
Yep.
The good news is Dwayne Brown coming back next week off IR. Cross our fingers, right? He's had a month after we signed him. Hopefully, he's good to go. More good news. We had a really good injury report. Regardless, like Corey Davis isn't there. Thank the Lord. John Franklin Myers and Eccles are limited. So hopefully they get in there, and make some moves. Quincy Williams, obviously a DNP. I'm gonna be shocked if he comes near the field, but apparently, he's still around. They're not gonna IR him, which is really good news. It looked really bad.
Yeah.
Once the cart came out, man, I was like, it's over. Like Quincy Williams flash in the pan.
They immobilized his leg. I'm like, oh.
I know, and then I saw an Aircast, and then my one of my really good friends, a physical therapist, messaged me right away because he knew I was at the game. He's like, if his leg's in an air cast, it's fractured. Like that's why they suspect a fracture. Like that's why you put an air cast. So I was like, oh, it's over. I was like, all right, like and then all of a sudden, my phone was dead, unfortunately, by halftime. And I was like, yo, who, again, from last episode, I was like, yo, who is this guy, number 36 with the dreads? Like his dreads were covering his name. I had no idea who he was. I never heard of Marcel Davis. And I was like, oh, this is the beginning of the end. But listen, dude, maybe Quan Alexander finally gets some playing time. I feel like Coach Saleh kind of giving me Coach Tibbs vibes, not playing Quan Alexander. But, he's going to be in there. The D-line, I feel like, got a little bit embarrassed last week. So I feel like they're going to be looking for some revenge here. The cornerbacks have been unbelievable, like we mentioned, and the safeties have been putrid. So I'm hoping that everyone gets a little like +1, +2 because, in motivation, because Zach Wilson, is here and it's not, oh my God, we're going into Pittsburgh situation. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's more of, we finally got our quarterback. We're going into Pittsburgh and they are starting Mitch Trubisky. And on top of that, TJ Watt is out, the best defensive player in the league. Minkah Fitzpatrick has a concussion, but he's full practice, but he's in the protocol, so I don't know what's going on there. Their number one cornerback, Witherspoon, has a hamstring. He didn't practice, which means that our boy, Arthur Mollett, might play against us. And if we don't tear up Arthur Mollett with one of our 19 slot receivers, I'm going to lose my mind. But we'll get to that, a little bit shortly here. And in the interview, with more with the still curtain on more Pittsburgh preview from their perspective. But dude, what do you guys think about this defense coming in? Is it kind of the same thought? I mean, we were really optimistic going into last game. We saw what happened last game. We know what Pittsburgh brings in terms of offense, which is virtually nothing. Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, they've been amazing holding down corners. But the question is Freiermuth going to kill us? Are the running backs going to kill us out of the backfield? And are they going to chase Claypool and, Johnson or something? They're going to blow off the top of our defense like once or twice and kill us. Like, what do you guys think, Alex?
Whoo. What do I think? I think what we need to do from a defensive standpoint, like what do we got to do defensively, or what do we like? What do we? Yeah, like
what do you think this week, man? Like, what do you think the Jets are going to put as an output? Go ahead.
Well, I'm because right now, man, like I think the one thing I want to continue on from what Richie said and what I've been asking for is more running from the offense, man. Like, can we just stay like for us? You want me to stick to defense? Like, I just have a lot of thoughts in general, like where I want to go. Defense, like. I don't know. Corner's gonna be fine. I don't really see us like we're going against Mitch Trubisky, but
I know you're hyped about Zach Wilson. I know you're hyped about Zach Wilson. I want to stick to the defense right now because that's what's most important going in to this game against Pitt. This is going to be an under game. It's going to be ugly. It's Zach Wilson, first game back, hasn't played in a month and a half. The playbook's going to be shortened.
John,
we have no left tackle.
One thing,
all right?
Look, I expect Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed to do their thing, to stop Claypool, to stop who Johnson, Pickens. I expect them to be guarding whoever, right? And to stop them. I don't expect Mitch Trubisky to come out here and start throwing deep bombs on us. He's not that type of quarterback. We saw what he could do out in Chicago. It's nothing impressive in my eyes. I think if we can actually get a solid pass rush going, like our front seven actually show up, I think we have this game solid. If they can just replicate what they did week 1 against the Ravens, that first half, Jets are in a good position to win because at that point, I don't see Mitch being this like juggernaut of a quarterback where you can't figure him out. He's going to do what Joe Flacco was doing, throw a lot of underneath and checkdowns.
I think that's good. I think that's a pretty good comparison here where the Steelers are kind of running the same offense as the Ravens, but obviously on a more amateur level. And if we could, pull up that first half where we're keeping Mitch Trubisky in the pocket, making him throw, and he's not going to have anywhere to go if it's to our corners, and he's not going to beat them. So hopefully he's not going to get over the top here. It's really all about our linebackers and getting home with our defensive line, man. There's people want to yell about Saleh not playing Huff, and some people want to yell about our players not, coming home. Greg, what do you think about this defense coming into this game?
Dude, I think it's huge. One thing that stood out to me when scrolling through Jets Twitter over the last few days, Connor Hughes had a tweet I thought was great about the incident between Quinton Williams and Aaron White cotton on the sideline. And that got tons of social media, attention, the blow up, all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. What people didn't pick up on and what Connor did, which I thought was awesome, was that the Jets rushed just 5 or more players 5 times after that. Before the talk, when we rushed 4, we did it 8 times for 1 pressure and no sack. After the discussion on the sideline, we rushed 4 18 times, had 8 pressures and 2 sacks. I just think I think it's a young team that's just trying to find its groove. It's a young coaching staff that's trying to find its groove. And tempers flare, especially on game day when you're in the game. So I think there's just some disconnect between this coaching staff at certain points and the players at certain points. Richie did a great job, I think, breaking down too the communication skills of the secondary and how these guys are coming from all different places. They communicate differently. They have to get on the same page. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen during preseason when they're playing a handful of snaps. It happens in the first part of the season that we're still in. So seeing some stats like that gives me hope for this defensive line. And just knowing the amount of money that we talked about in the last episode when we did the recap of the game, and then also the talent we have, man, we have a lot of talent on this defensive line. So the Steelers' offensive line looked pretty good last week. I think they allowed 2 QB pressures, no sacks, against a pretty good Cleveland defensive line with Myles Garrett and others that we certainly had a tough time with when we played them. So I think the Steelers' offensive line's okay. Our defensive line needs to be better. We have to get home. We have to pressure Trubisky because if he gets off schedule a little bit and he gets, off his rocker, I think that, is favorable for us, especially with our secondary, with our cornerbacks. He's
definitely easy to fluster, but without Quincy Williams, who's projected to be doubtful for this game, right? Yeah. Do we expect Jamin Sherwood to hop in there and bring the pressure?
Well, I think it's Quan Alexander that's going to take care of that spot, and I kind of want to piggyback off of Greg's comments to answer that because it's not really communication. I don't believe on the field. I think it's, to be honest with you, stubbornness in the defensive scheme, and they want to keep for example, Cincinnati struggles against the Tampa 2, we decided we don't want to do that. That's what they're talking about. We want to keep more defensive backs on the field. That's how Saleh likes to run it, right? That's why we're not rushing 4. Once they took that off, they started rushing 4. Cincinnati struggles against that number 1, and we were getting home. Yeah. So it's just like you're being stubborn, dude. That's why it's really a lot like Coach Tibbs. If you're a Knicks fan and you're watching that, there's a lot of comparisons here from that angle because they're being stubborn. And once they let go of it, all of a sudden there were instant results. So
there's also a fine line, not to cut you off, John. There's also a fine line between being stubborn and just not getting it, and that's what worries me. I don't know if Saleh is stubborn. I'm a little concerned that he and his staff is just not getting like what's going on. Like, it's crazy to me that you have defensive linemen on his first contract. He's fighting for a second contract. He's trying to get paid. He's one of the highest rated PFF defensive linemen in the league. I think he's top 3 against the rush, interior defensive lineman. Like, he's like freaking out on the sidelines. Like, yo, this is what we're seeing. This is what we're trying to do. Like, what are you guys doing? Yeah. And it obviously worked. It fixed it because the Bengals did not look the same in the second half. The defense looked a lot better. I'm just a little nervous if it's stubbornness or if it's something else.
And imagine if they actually adjusted and then they're still in the game and you can actually establish a run game, right? You don't have to consistently go. That's complimentary football right there. So this is where we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens against the Steelers. We'll see if it's stubbornness or lack of understanding, or maybe even both, man. It could be both.
All right, so let's talk a little bit of adjustment. Oh, go ahead, Greg.
Before we go to offense, though, I do have one thing that I want to talk about. Our defense is 6th in the league in opponent rushing yards per game.
Yep.
I believe that's right. Rushes per game. Yards 14th. Still top half of the league. Passing yards per game, 16th. 7th passes. So again, top half in the league. Where are we falling short? Turnover margin, 29th. We're not getting turnovers on defense. Penalties, 28th. Penalty yards, 28th. We're committing too many penalties. Like the when we're not hurting ourselves by not getting turnovers and not getting penalties, we're a good defense. We've had good halves. We've had good quarters. We've played pretty good against some tough opponents. We have to stop hurting ourselves on defense. It's crazy to say that about predominantly it's been veterans that have been giving us trouble.
I mean, we've been letting up 7.5 yards per attempt, which is literally bottom of the league. So we've let up. Oh no, is that what we're, yeah. I mean, we've given up 7 touchdowns. Also up there in the league.
Yeah, 7.5 per attempt is the bottom of the league, but overall 16th in the league, 231 yards per game. So
up 7 touchdowns, also bottom. I'm just saying this defense is struggling, in my opinion. There's definitely bright spots, and like we said, I can't believe it's the cornerbacks. That's crazy for the first time. There's been some complaints about Bryce Huff not playing. He's obviously last on this depth chart. But, dude, Michael Clemens and Jermaine Johnson doing great on the edges, man. Shout out to them.
It's been great.
They haven't really been getting their shine here. But, Michael Clemens is in on every play that he's in, dude. I love him so much. Once they drop a different jersey, I might have to go with the Clemens. We'll see.
Dude,
but he's top of my list right now.
He's the best.
He's top of my list. So let's change it up to this offense right now. Alex was hyped about the offense. Wanted to go right into Zach Wilson because he's got the wide receivers on lock. He's thinking about his fantasy team. He wants Zach Wilson back in there. And right now, we have issues at left tackle. We everybody knows about. We got our left tackle / tight end Connor McDermott starting at left tackle. Probably a better pass catcher than tackle, which is very scary. Other than that, man, everybody is status quo. So at some point, you have to be able to handle 1 week, right? This is me being as positive as possible. You have to be able to handle 1 week of one of your offensive tackles not playing, and he's been on the team for what feels like forever. And you have your guys coming back next week. You have reinforcements. Everybody else is good. Max Mitchell, you got lucky. Right?
He's been awesome.
He's amazing. Your right tackle's all set. Elijah Vera Tucker, amazing. Connor McGovern, fine, no problem. Meleka Thompson has been great ever since, the first half of the first game. You have to put it together with Connor McDermott at left tackle. If you have to add a tight end, if CJ Uzomah has to live on the left side, let him live there. You know what I'm saying? All game. I don't care. Because I am so excited that we're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. And let me tell you guys why. You're talking about the Jets defense, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, and Alex, you're going to be hyped about this. They stink against the run. They are so bad against the run. And that's why I wanted to tee you up for this, Alex, because you wanted to say all you want is for the Jets to establish the run. You don't want 65 throws by Zach
No.
Wilson.
Good
And
Lord,
I
that's
think this is the
disgusting.
game, man. I
That
think
shit's
this is the
disgusting,
game.
man.
I don't know if we can run to the left, which might be a little bit of an issue with McDermott, but I think that this is going to be all about establishing the run. I'm looking for Breece Hall and Michael Carter to really get in this game. Tyler Conklin to block, CJ to block, get some passes here and there, some quick screen, some quick slot stuff. But I'm looking for the run this week, man.
Oh, for sure. And we've seen that our running backs have been efficient, man. They're averaging close to 5 yards, 4 or 5 yards, depending on who you're looking at. And I think it will just help this team overall. We got to control the pace of this game. Too many times we're trying to throw over these last couple of weeks, and it really throws us out of the game. We're stopping the clock. We're giving our opponents too much time to get back out there to even score. And even going back to the stats that you guys were talking about, yes, our defense total yards-wise is doing a good job. They're letting up a lot of scores because our offense and our defense, either by penalties or turnovers, are giving the opponents good primo scoring position, right? If we can establish the run game, just eat off some clock, make it, just get past the 50-yard line, get some field goals, get more so touchdowns. Put the other team, on their heels.
You want the Jets to be leading in the game?
Oh my God, I know it'd be that'd be fantastic.
In September?
In September.
It'd be October.
It's not September anymore.
Yeah, it'll be October by then.
It'll be October.
We're good. Oh, we're good. We could be leading. We could be leading.
We're gonna be Gucci. Don't worry. We're gonna be good.
This is like Mark Teixeira when you just don't tell him that it's April.
I'm gonna say April.
And he had that 1 year where he was hitting. It was like, someone changed his calendar, told him it was May, bro.
Yeah, right.
Go around the locker room, start changing calendars.
Yeah, the Jets got their 1 win in September. We're over the hump. We got our 1 win, Greg, without Zach Wilson, and now he's back.
So real quick, you were talking about our 1 win. I was trying to calm myself down this week about last week. If we got our September win, if we get 2 wins against divisional opponents, and we end up winning 7 games, and Zach Wilson's healthy all season, he looks like the real deal. Is this a successful season?
Yes, 100%.
I mean, according to Vegas, 6 wins is a successful season. So the bar is so damn low. But for me, it has to be playing competitive football in December, meaning a chance at the playoffs. We have to be in the hunt. We have to.
Yeah.
We have to be in the hunt around Thanksgiving. We can't just be playing like, okay, time to think about the draft. And we're still thinking about...
We kill the Lions week 15, even though it doesn't matter if we both have 4 wins. It's like, all right, who cares?
Yeah, you've been talking about how great this back half schedule looks. I want it to mean something. Like, I don't want the last 6 games to literally mean nothing.
That's why we have to be the Steelers.
Yeah, you gotta take it. You gotta take advantage of easy matchups, and with their defense, thinking against the run
in Heinz Field.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Like, you got guys who are injured right now; they're questionable to play. We got Witherspoon and Minkah Fitzpatrick. Even though Minkah Fitzpatrick was practicing today. He's still listed as questionable according to ESPN. Witherspoon's considered questionable. You got TJ Watt on IR. This defense is hurt. Your offense is not good. This is a chance for the Jets to come in, get 2-2, get Zach Wilson some confidence, on track. This is just a good game as of right now on paper. Things could change by the weekend, of course, but on paper, as of right now, as we're recording Wednesday, first half of this podcast, September 28th at 8:48 p.m. It looks good on paper for Zach Wilson to come in and really get his bearings going, man. And just for this offense, just to start clicking, man. Well, you talked about it with Richie yesterday. Joe Flacco not caring, drop back, whether it's his 3-step, the 5-step, shotgun. It's like, look, man, if I launch this thing, I launch this thing. And we saw it hitting the goalpost. It was just like, let's see how far I can throw this thing. Zach Wilson cares, right? This is very different for him. He's not a vet who's won a Super Bowl ring and most of his career is done. He's trying to earn something and do something. So this is a chance, man. This is a chance for him to come out there. This is a chance for this coaching staff to show that, okay, we could take advantage of mismatches, right? You talk about being stubborn, not going cover 2. Well, let's see them take advantage of a weak defense if it still stays weak, all right?
They call it a Tampa 2, so let's not have anyone freak out at us and say, oh, it's a Tampa 2. They've been calling it the Tampa 2. So
Tampa 2? Okay.
Yeah. Because the cover 2 is a little slightly different.
Yeah, it is slightly different.
Couple things though about the Steelers being beatable. Steelers 0-6 since TJ Watt was drafted when TJ Watt did not play one snap that day. So if he missed the entire game, they haven't won without TJ Watt. We can't be
why.
We can't be
They
the first
stink
team that
against the
they
run.
beat. We can't.
Yes, we
It
can.
can't happen.
Yes, we can.
It can't happen.
But
it can. I just
There's
don't
an
want to see it.
advantage here. There's an advantage here on the Jet side for the first time in a while. And before we jump into this interview here and get some of the Steelers' perspective, because it's a must-win for them. And if you think we're looking at this like a must-win, they're looking, and we think this is an easy game. They're like, yo, finally we got our get-right game, 1 and 2. We got the Jets coming in here.
You
They
think
have
they're
no
thinking
left
like that?
tackle. Of course, man. It's the New York Jets. When's the last time we won in Pittsburgh, bro? They own us, man.
Dude, I watch a lot of Pittsburgh videos today, YouTube channel. Shout out to Pittsburgh YouTube scene. A lot of people are focused on Trubisky and not focused on the Jets. A
I
lot
like
of
that.
people are nervous about Mitch Trubisky and Kenny Pickett and should we go to the young guy, all that stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh, listen, the backup quarterback, especially the rookie, he's the most popular kid in town. Especially the
Yeah.
rookie wide receiver, also complaining about Mitch, and everybody's complaining about Mitch. Like it's the whole league. It's not just like a Pittsburgh Steeler kind of thing.
Yeah.
He's on the decline there, and they're favorites. They're -3 to win this game. All the money, all the bets on Pittsburgh. I will get into more of that on Winning Picks Weekly. You can find us on the Apple, Spotify, but also on our YouTube on Knicks Comment, Jets Comment, ETC period. You go under, you have the Jets, the Knicks, and the Winning Picks Weekly with our boy Chip Murphy at Chip Murphy 7. What do you guys think is going to happen in this game in terms of the spread? Alex, the Jets
Man.
are getting 3 points. Over under 41.5. What do you think, man? Think the Jets have a chance at this game? Are they going to cover? Are they going to win?
What's the line?
3.
3. Yeah, I think the Jets are going to cover. I think the Jets should win this game. I think they will win this game, actually. I think I'm going to be confident and say they're going to win.
All right. All right.
And by the way, the last time the New York Jets won in Pittsburgh, January 23rd, 2011.
Sounds about right, man.
We're going to do it again on Sunday. Give me the Jets 27-20.
Oh, sorry.
One.
Wrong date. That was the playoffs. December 19th, 2010. Sorry, looking at the wrong one.
Okay.
That's the last time the Jets
Playoffs
won.
count for me. What's
Yeah,
up, man?
that counts.
No, that was the when they beat us. That was when the Steelers beat us. I was reading it wrong.
Oh, okay.
I think we went outright in this one, dude. I think to Alex's point, right now, we are the 32nd ranked team in percentage of run plays run in offense. We are the first ranked team in percentage of pass plays run on offense. We are...
How's that working out?
It's not working out great, John, but you know what is working out great? We are the 16th ranked team in rushing yards per attempt. There's a huge gap there. 16-team gap, half the league gap right there. Our coaching staff needs to see that. Our coaching staff needs to know Zach Wilson's coming back and we have to run the ball. We have to run the ball this game. I think we're seeing a breakout game from Breece Hall. I think we're having a good game from Michael Carter. I think checkdowns. Conklin's looked pretty good. I hope he gets a full game of looking good because I feel like it's been spotty at times for him. The Pittsburgh defense also not that great. So our defense isn't that great. Their defense isn't that great. I like the over in this one. I like the Jets winning outright in this one. Something in the low 20s for both teams.
It's been 12 years since the Jets won it. Freaking.
To be honest with you, I like the under. I like the Jets on the under here.
Everyone likes the under. That's why you got to go over.
Oh, everyone likes the under. I can see why.
Yeah.
I can totally see why. All right. Any other
What do you
last
got?
thoughts on this game?
What do you got? Can't sneak out of here without giving a score.
So, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think the Jets' defense is sneaky good because of the cornerbacks with somebody like Mitch Trubisky. I don't think he's going to have enough time to throw it over the safeties. I think Jordan Whitehead's going to tackle this week. I think C.J. Mosley's going to tackle this week. He's in Pittsburgh. If C.J. Mosley's not motivated in Pittsburgh, Like that should be in his blood. Like something should trigger when he walks into Pittsburgh as a Raven. He should tackle this week. Jordan Whitehead, after what happened last week, he probably got embarrassed this week over tape. He's going to tackle. The corners are going to be good, and I think the rush is going to be slightly better. I think Quinn Williams is going to have a big game. Let's just put it that way. Steelers are hurt. This is our chance. Zach Wilson's 100%. He said he's never been this happy in his life, which is a very interesting statement. And not healthy, not like worked hard. He's like, I've just never been this happy in my life, which honestly, that's exactly how I want my quarterback feeling. So I'm going to go with 20-16 Jets.
Okay.
With Pittsburgh having the ball in their hands at the end of the game to try and beat us.
Okay. I didn't give it my score. My score is going to be 2013 Jets. That's what I
Very
got.
close. Very close.
Yeah. I don't think
like
Mitch
it.
Trubisky's going to be able to score. I think he's going to have a tough time.
I think so too. All right.
All right. Well, we're going to take a little break, and then we'll be back with our interview with Thomas from the Still Curtain. So hang tight. What's up, everyone? And we're back with part 2 of the Jets episode of the Knicks Jets Etc. podcast. And with us to help us break down this Jets versus Steelers game this upcoming weekend, we got Tommy Jaggi, editor for the Still Curtain, podcaster as well. Tommy, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Well, we're here because we got a crucial matchup for the Jets, right? We just lost badly to the Cincinnati Bengals. Somehow the NFL gods and the league decided to give us the entire AFC North. And to round out this AFC North battle, we got the Steelers as the last matchup. So we're gonna get some of your takes, man, and figure out who's more favorable in this matchup. John, what's the line right now for the Jets and Steelers matchup going into this week?
So, yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, the Jets went up against the AFC North the first 4 weeks, and it's crazy enough. We're just as down bad as the Steelers are. What's crazy is the Jets are +3, getting 3 points. The over/under is kind of high, in my opinion. Both teams honestly stink. So we'll see what happens here. But what's interesting about bringing our brother up from the Fanside Network on here, from the Still Curtain, is we're both in desperation mode. The Jets are 1-2. The Steelers are 1-2. Both fan bases are going into this game like, if we don't win, things are looking bleak. On the one hand, we have Zach Wilson coming back. On the other hand, they have Mitch Trubisky, and they're fighting with whether they should start Pickett. We'll get into all that. And on the other side, we all have injuries. We don't have a left tackle. They don't have TJ Watt. They might be missing Minka Fitzpatrick. Witherspoon might be out. We might see Arthur Mollett, like we talked about in the first half, which would be hilarious. Another Jet coming up against us. So 3 points. It looks like it moved up to 3.5. What do you think, man? What do you think what's going on in Heinz Field? We still call it Heinz Field over here. We don't care. To us, it's still Heinz Field. What's going on in Heinz Field with the Jets coming to town? Is this your get right game? Are you worried about 3.5? What's your take on Mitch Trubisky? What's the state of the Steelers?
Yeah, it's worrisome. We're in the same boat as you guys, like you said, and you don't think this way this early in the season. It's such a cliche to say that every game is like a playoff game, but it really is, because you don't want to drop to 1-3. After the Jets, the Steelers have the roughest 4-game stretch in the NFL. They're at Buffalo, they host the Buccaneers, and then they're at Miami and at Philadelphia in some really tough games before the bye. And so they can't afford to drop this game against the Jets. I was hoping that there was a chance that they would be able to start 4-0 based on the strength of their schedule to begin the year. And so now we're right in the same boat as you guys. And this is just going to be like a slugfest of some wretched, bad offenses here, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, man. The 41.5 is just screaming at me to hit the under.
Pound that under.
It's going to be a disgusting game, man. And it's so funny you say that. You're so worried about the Jets' upcoming schedule. The Steelers' upcoming schedule and how hard it's going to be. Literally in the first half of this episode and last week, we're screaming about how terrible the next upcoming slate for the Jets is, right? We're at the Steelers, and then we're home versus the Dolphins, at Green Bay, at Denver, and then home versus the Patriots and the Bills. I mean, it's tough for both of us. It's so funny that we're looking at this the same exact way. Let me start you off with this, man, because last week we're versing the Cincinnati Bengals. You're familiar with them, of course. We were hyped, man, because our strength is our D-line. Their weakness was their offensive line, letting up 13 sacks in 2 weeks. They did a really good job against us. We blame it on our defensive personnel and head coaching scheme. Cincinnati's like, oh, we're good to go. We got this back. And here we are against the Steelers, man. The only chance we have against the Steelers is to stop the run. We got to stop Najee, who has been, decent, and we got to stop Mitch. We are confident about our corners. We are not confident about our safeties. So talk to me about Mitch Trubisky and your unbalanced offense. Honestly, we talked about how wretched it is, but talking about your unbalanced Steelers offense, because I know as a casual, AFC fan, right? I'm a diehard Jets fan. I'm watching the other games. The Steelers, I have no idea what they do. I don't know what they do right. All I know is they have a decent defense. So talk to me about what you see from Mitch Trubisky, and are you one of those guys screaming about the backup quarterback?
Well, first of all, John, don't feel too bad about the Bengals whomping you guys last week. We were outscored 65-20 by the Bengals in 2 games last year. And so we're used to that. We did get them. We caught them off guard in week 1 on the road this year, but I'm not sure if it might be all for naught situation here. So in terms of the Steelers offense, it's not good. And it's really not good anywhere. So I wouldn't worry about your safety play too much. We can't hit plays down the field. Mitch Trubisky right now, believe it or not, is actually number 1 in passes attempted beyond 20 yards. But there's just no script and no consistent game plan at all. It's just a YOLO ball on 3rd down, down the sidelines. And that's basically it. It's not the middle of the field is not being utilized at all. Matt Canada, Steelers offensive coordinator, he is calling an uber scripted game plan that Mitch Trubisky really doesn't have the ability to deviate from the script at all. And he's actually come out and said that he's not given the flexibility to call audibles. And so it's just the hashes being utilized. If you look at next gen stats, everything is like in a U shape. It's at the line of scrimmage or it's outside. There's nothing being utilized over the middle of the field. And so if you want to know how to defend Mitch Trubisky this week, you can basically play cover 1. You can bump all your corners up to the line of scrimmage and play like that U-shaped type formation, knowing that Trubisky is going to throw to the outside. It's what Canada's done all along.
Oh my God. So it seems like the Jets actually have a good chance with knowing that our corners are pretty strong, and we actually get to give our safeties a break this week, John. That's what it sounds like. But what about the running game? You got Najee Harris back there. Do you think, we haven't really seen, you talk about the offense being difficult for the Steelers. Do you think they can get the running game going? What do you think about Najee Harris in this offense?
Is he healthy?
Yeah. He's at this point, he's pretty much healthy. Yeah, he's dealing with a foot injury kind of through training camp. The Steelers didn't really limit his usage at all. They also have Jalen Warren, the undrafted rookie from Oklahoma State. He's getting in the mix a little bit as well. To be honest, and I know a lot of Steelers fans don't like hearing this, Najee Harris has not been that dominant workhorse running back so far that we'd like to see. He is in terms of usage and carries, but he's not in terms of efficiency and the production that we want to see that way. And so breaking down the all-22 film from the first 3 games of the season, I think there were some missed opportunities from Najee. There were holes there at times. But the problem with a player like Harris is it's very much Le'Veon Bell-like, and not Jets Le'Veon Bell, Steelers Le'Veon Bell, but still a player who, if there's a hole there, there's just not a lot of room for like huge play upside. Like he's not a guy that's going to gash you for 25, 45 yards at a time. Like he's going to nickel and dime you for those 5, 6, 8 yard chunks. But it's never going to be a whole lot more than that unless the blocking is perfect, because he just doesn't have that extra gear. And so he is a player that you have to account for. He's a guy that can wear you down, but he's not necessarily a threat to take it all the way if he gets a gap.
Okay. So, and you're talking about giving like, you mentioned the offensive line getting like the perfect like gas for him to be able to burst through. How's the offensive line looking? Because for us right now on the Jets side, when we look defensively, we were pretty good against the Ravens week 1. Our defensive line, our front 7 overall was just dominant. We were plugging up all the gaps, making sure that one, the running game wasn't established, and we're giving Lamar Jackson just a difficult time. Do you think that how is this offensive line looking for the Steelers? Because this is trying to get our get right game for our front seven right now. The last 2 games for us have been pretty mediocre, to say at best. And we're looking at Mitch Trubisky. We're looking at this running game saying, hey, this guy can't really push the ball down the field. The running game, as you talked about, Najee Harris isn't efficient. What's your offensive line looking right now?
Well, going into the year, and especially watching them just get manhandled in the preseason, we thought this was going to be the biggest issue on offense. Fortunately, it's not, but the offense is still terrible because of the quarterback play and the offensive coordinator. And so the offensive line has been solid, but definitely not spectacular. They're holding up in pass protection a little bit better than I thought they would. They're offering help on Steelers left tackle Dan Moore, which I think is the biggest weak link on their offensive line. But I do think that this is a matchup that's ultimately going to favor Jets defensive line over the Steelers. I don't think that I don't think that they're going to match up particularly well against a player like Quinnen Williams, who can kind of gash in there and knife them a little bit. But I do think that the Steelers offensive line has held up well enough that the Steelers should be able to find some success on the ground. They should be able to have some clean pockets for Trubisky. It's other facets of the offense that really are not working out right now.
Okay.
So luckily for you, the worst part about this Jets defense is our tackling and our linebackers, and honestly our safeties. So we might have somebody named Marcel Davis playing on the Jets as linebacker, who I just discovered last week, and we are all over the practice squad, the cuts, the waivers. I've never even heard of this guy. I had no idea where he came from. And that's what we're dealing with at linebacker. You could tell every single week teams are isolating whether it's their 4th wide receiver, their slot, or their tight end against one of our linebackers, against one of our safeties, and they're just gashing us, right? So that's how the Steelers are going to win this game. They're going to get Freiermuth. They're going to get him into this game. They're going to get these quick screens to Claypool, right? We know that Deontay Johnson likes the ball fast. Pickens, he's probably not going to touch the ball if Gardner's on him, to be honest with you, but you're not going to need him to. So that's where I'm looking for the Steelers to kind of gash up the Jets in the middle of the field, as usual. If we can make tackles, it's going to be a low-scoring game. But let me ask you this: when you're staring, I mean, you're a Steelers fan. Let's forget about TJ Watt for a second. I know that has a lot to do with why your week 1 success this year. The defense has always been the number 1 priority, has always been where you guys are hanging your backs on. Coach, you talked about your coordinators. Coach Tomlin, I mean, he rules all, right? You got Cam Hayward hanging out there. We can't forget about him. Devin Bush, not having the best season, but he's still there. Are you guys licking your chops at Zach Wilson? It's so funny that you mentioned pass attempts for Trubisky over 20 yards. It's so funny because we're also sitting here like, oh yeah, Joe Flacco, top in the league in pass attempts, but he sucks, man. We don't want him to throw 50 to 60 times a game. Now we have Zach Wilson. First game, I guess, in 6 weeks, right? Are you guys licking your chops here at Zach Wilson? Like, do you want him to throw? Is that the game plan? Stifle the run and have Zach Wilson beat you on 3rd down?
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because I actually just had an article about Zach Wilson come out yesterday evening. Yeah, we actually are kind of excited to get Zach Wilson this week. And it's not a knock on Wilson. The guy has been out. He's been dealing with a knee injury. The last year sample size as a rookie wasn't particularly well. 9 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Finished the year with a 28.2 quarterback rating. So definitely unspectacular in some areas. Now he's got the big playability, but the Steelers have experience going against Joe Flacco. And Joe Flacco has experience also beating the Steelers. And so it's hard for me to envision a scenario. I know the Jets right now, remarkably, they're averaging 370 offensive yards a game through 3 weeks, which is 9th in the NFL. I can't envision Zach Wilson having that sort of success first week back from a knee injury against a pretty solid Steelers defense. And so I think if you were to take a poll right now, I think Steelers fans would rather face Zach Wilson in this game where he's kind of shaking the rust off and trying to get back up to speed here. But at the end of the day, I think like you're right. It's probably this is a good time for the Jets, though, also to bring in Zach Wilson against the Steelers, because this is a game that they could very well win before they have a tough slate ahead of them.
Really? They would rather see Zach Wilson over Joe Flacco, the statue that is Joe Flacco, who just drops back and it's easy to knock the ball
That's
out of
what
the
he
hand.
does. I mean, you did put up 31 just 2 weeks ago, but last time Steelers did that, you got to dig back into the archives. So, I mean, the Steelers are averaging 15.6 offensive points per game. Like, I think in my mind, I'm thinking like, I think Flacco can score 17, 19 points against the Steelers, and that's probably enough to get the job done, to be honest. And so I'm just hoping that Wilson is so rusty. I mean, that would be the hope that he's so rusty that from not playing that the Steelers would be able to, kind of just get him rattled a little bit early in the game or have him force a turnover or two. And that's kind of how the Steelers have to win. Like they've got to control the takeaway battle, and they have to do enough on offense to score, but they haven't topped 17 offensive points in a game this year.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's some name recognition there with Joe Flacco, right? Like, you don't want to play Joe Flacco because of all those Steelers Ravens game, but that Joe Flacco.
Yeah, I don't think Joe Flacco is good.
Bro.
Yeah, don't
no one thinks Joe Flacco's good at this point.
It's the same Le'Veon Bell that's on the Jets. It's the same thing going on with Flacco. Honestly, if you need some little bit of parallel insight here. But for the Jets, it's all going to depend on what's going on with the Steelers injury report. I mentioned a couple times. I mentioned on the first half of this episode. It's really all that matters. If Witherspoon doesn't play, if Minkah Fitzpatrick doesn't play, this would be the most deflating loss of the season for the New York Jets. Zach Wilson coming back. I know we don't have a left tackle, but that's pretty much it. Everybody else is healthy. If the Steelers don't have their top 3 guys on defense, we already know TJ Watt's not there. If Minkah's not there, if Witherspoon's not there, it's literally just the Jets versus Cam Hayward, Miles Jack, and Devin Bush. Like, we have to beat them. So that's what's coming out from our perspective. And to be honest with you, I know the Steelers fan base is in shambles right now, but you guys have Coach Tomlin, who has never had a season under 500, and he always steers the ship correctly, regardless of the issue. You guys have a backup rookie quarterback that you could hang your hat on. So as much as this feels like a loser goes home kind of game between the Jets and the Steelers this week, there just seems to be more hope for the Steelers. Like, if you lose, you could still pick this up. The season is long for you guys. You have your rookie quarterback, and you have a solid head coach. If the Jets get smacked in Pittsburgh this week, looking at a tough slate ahead with Zach Wilson's first game, man, it's looking scary for the Jets. And we are literally last in DVOA rating. So, I mean, we're last on defense. So if the Steelers can't do it against the Jets, I have bad news for you, man. It's the last of Mitch. So I got to get the Steelers' perspective on this. I know you talked about you hate your offense, but who is your quarterback, man? Are you staring at that backup quarterback with, this is the answer, or is it like a grass is always greener type deal where as soon as we put him in, it's just going to be Mitch Trubisky all over again, and now you're not going to have any hope? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not convinced that Kenny Pickett is the answer right now. Obviously, the hope is that he can be at some point, but the biggest issue in my mind with the Steelers offense right now isn't Trubisky, it's Matt Canada. And we just did this on the podcast yesterday. I think it's 65% Matt Canada's fault, and the other 35% is Trubisky. And the combination of the two of them is very poor because you've got an offensive coordinator who likes to run a very scripted game plan that doesn't throw over the middle. And you've got a quarterback who has averaged 6.6 yards an attempt in his career and doesn't like to look outside of his first read. Mr. Trubisky is number 1 in the NFL and going to his first read. And so I think the combination of the two are not good for each other. But I also think that putting Kenny Pickett in this situation right now would not be great for him either, because the game plan is just so scripted and he's just so limited on what he can do. Like Pickett in college football, I think he was second in the nation in passing across the middle of the field, yards per attempt, and he can extend the play with his legs a little bit too and keep his eyes downfield. And that's just really not something that Canada prefers his quarterbacks to do right now. And so that's a little bit concerning. I would wait. If I was the Steelers, I honestly would, no matter how things go this game. I think the opportunity was to put Pickett in after the Thursday night game and for Tomlin to say, you're our quarterback. You've got 10 days to prepare for the New York Jets, and you're going to go up against another 1-2 team, and we're going to be at home, and this is a winnable game for you. Now that they missed that window, like I said, you've got the next 4 games are Bills, Bucks, Dolphins, Eagles. I mean, probably, if not the best teams in the league, 4 of the top 5 or 6 teams in the NFL. You don't want to put Pickett in for that slate. If they didn't do it now, I'm waiting until the week 9 bye, and then we'll try again, give them the 2 weeks to prepare for the second half of the season, and we'll go from there. But no, I don't think that Pickett's going to solve their problems at this point. I think their problems stretch way deeper than just the quarterback position. And so I'm hoping, I do want to see Pickett see the field. I mean, he's our quarterback, just like you guys went through with the Jets. You got that guy. You want to see him out there. I want to see Pickett out there. He's a 24-year-old rookie, but I don't think now's the time to do it. I think that no matter what happens, and this game could be really bad from Trubisky, but the first 3 were as well. He's averaging 5.5 yards an attempt. It would be the lowest in a decade in the NFL if it continued throughout the course of a season. And so I want that to happen probably at the bye at this point, just to ease his opening a little bit more against an easier slate of schedule. But
I need to know what was Steelers fans' reactions when you guys got Mitch Trubisky, because we saw what he did out in Chicago. There couldn't be any comforting feeling like, all right, this is the guy we're going to be running with to really stabilize, the after the retirement of Big Ben. So what was Steelers fans' reactions?
Yeah, they were really mixed, honestly, Alex, because in one corner, you've got the level-minded fans that are like, okay, this guy is just a stopgap player. We know the Steelers are going to be targeting a quarterback in the draft. And so maybe it's just that way to transition in and for Trubisky to play 4 or 5 games before they put whoever the quarterback is that they're going to draft in the future. On the other hand, there were fans who were very opposed to that move, wanting to go out and do the blockbuster thing. Like, let's go trade for Aaron Rodgers. Let's trade for Russell Wilson. Knowing that how the Steelers do business, that really wasn't ever truly on the table. And so it looks like it is just going to be that route with Trubisky. Kenny Pickett's first appearance is probably going to come a little bit later than we initially expected, just because the offense is performing so poorly that no matter how things go in these next couple games here, I think most fans don't want to go to Pickett at this point. In fact, I put a poll out on Twitter the other day. There are some of them, there's a group of people that would rather see the Steelers go from Trubisky to Mason Rudolph next, just because this offense is in such bad shape right now. They're afraid of ruining Pickett. And I get that.
Okay. Well, before we wrap up, this awesome interview with Tommy, what is your prediction for this this game? What do you think is going to happen?
Man, I've been overly optimistic these last couple of weeks. I thought the Steelers would be able to beat the Patriots and the Browns, but like I said, they just couldn't get over the hump, can't get over that 17-point mark. I think they do it for the first time this week. I think Tomlin is in Matt Canada's ear. I think they need to try to at least make some plays over the middle of the field. We talked about Pat Freiermuth for a second. He didn't get his first target in the Browns game until halfway through the 4th quarter. And so the Steelers are just not utilizing that area at all. I hope they do so a little bit more this week. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I have the Steelers actually reaching a 20-point game, which I'm not sure if they're capable of doing at this point, but we'll see. Now's the time to try it out against the middle of that Jets defense with those safeties. And so I've got the Steelers topping the Jets 20-17 this week.
Okay, John.
I got the under, though. That's still the under.
Got the under. Oh, gotta have the under when the Steelers are involved. Didn't work out that way last week, but there was a fluky touchdown right at the end off of a pitch play. And so, Steelers defense wasn't good. They were getting gassed anyway. But normally when the Steelers are involved, hammer that under.
Okay, John, what, are you still sticking with the score from yesterday, from the first half of the pod?
Yeah, funny enough, my score from yesterday from the first half of this pod was 20-16. Just the other way for the Jets. Not many touchdowns, lots of field goals for both teams. That's how we're going to get to this disgusting 20-16 score. But maybe a touchdown here or there for both teams. Listen, man, I really appreciate how desperate the Steelers are. Not only to win this game because of their schedule, because of their quarterback situation, because of injuries on the defense. Nobody could appreciate that more than a Jets fan. It's really now or never for us. Our defense finally looks good, on the edges, even though our numbers look bad, linebacker, safety. It's just for us, we're so fortunate that you guys don't have a quarterback. So that's really where we're at right now. We're licking our chops at Mitch Trubisky because we're looking at our schedule. We see a quarterback every single week for the next couple of weeks. We don't see one right now. We were able to beat Jacoby Brissett, the only non-real quarterback we've played so far. We snuck it out. but we beat him. Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow didn't work out. I feel like that's going to be the trend for us this year. So we got to beat Mitch Trubisky, man. Give me 2016, guys.
Okay. I'm still sticking with my score. I got the Jets winning
20-13, right?
20-13.
But we're so close, all of us.
I'm saying 20-13 just because the last time the Jets did beat was the last time the Jets was it, let's see right here. Yeah, I think that's like just looking at over the time from like since the Steelers and Jets have played each other, that's been like the closest on like the most identical numbers I see. There's always like 20 and like the teens between these two teams. Of course, you have some of the times where Steelers or Jets have just gone off, but that's like a rare occurrence from what I'm seeing. But John, we talked about this off air yesterday. This obviously favors the Steelers because the Steelers have just been owning the Jets out of the 26 matchups, 20-6. But look, man, we haven't beaten the Steelers in Heinz Field since 2010. We're due, okay? We're due to get a win over here. So I got them going 20-13, and I think the Jets are going to do it if they base it through the running game using Michael Carter and
Steelers' worst run defense in the league. We didn't even mention that.
I was about to say that. Yeah, I was about to say
really
that.
Good running backs. Our running stats aren't really. I don't think they're indicative really of how good we've really been on the run. We've had some stupid hold calls. Honestly, it should have won us a couple games, but whatever. I'm really looking forward to Breece Hall and Michael Carter going off in this game. Way more than Zach Wilson.
Yeah, Breece Hall and Michael Carter is definitely the way for the Jets to get back on track over here. The Steelers are in the bottom 5 of the league, allowing 428 yards over 103 rushing attempts. Teams are averaging 4.2 yards per carry against them. So, we haven't been able to see enough of our running backs because for some odd reason, Joe Flacco has to be this guy throwing 50 to 60 times. So I think that's the way to get Zach back on track, to ease him in, get Breece Hall, Michael Carter in the running game, and just establish like control of the clock, man. That's how I think the Jets are going to do it. But Tommy, thank you so much for joining us today and giving us your takes on the Steelers. Please let our listeners know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find our work at stillcurtain.com, and you can follow me on Twitter at Tommy Jaggi.
Awesome. Thank you, Tommy, once again. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in for another Jets episode of the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast. You all know what to do. Please make sure to subscribe. We're on all audio listening platforms: Apple, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon, Alexa, Stitch, you name it. We are there. If you listen to us on Apple or Spotify, please make sure to give us that 5-star rating. And if you listen to us on Apple, please make sure to leave a review or comment. We're also partnered with Fanside Minute Media, just like our guy Tommy over here, who writes for Fanside for the Still Curtain, as he just talked about. All right, so you can find this podcast on the Jet Press and the Daily Knicks. Also, make sure to go to that YouTube channel, subscribe, hit that notification bell. That way you know when a new episode drops. And when you watch a video, hit the like button, add a comment, add to the conversation. So let us know your thoughts and opinions. If you're a Steelers fan joining us today because you got your guy Tommy over here, let us know what you think about this game. All right, and obviously, if you're a Jets fan, come on, guys. Let us know. Come on, Unc. John's Unc needs to add more comments to the conversation.
Dude. He sent me a text on Sunday contemplating his life. Like, I'm so old. Why am I spending time watching the Jets? I've wasted so many Sundays. I have a boat. What am I doing with my life? And I'm like, dude, I understand. I was at MetLife, so it can't get any worse. It took me 2 hours to get to that parking lot. It was raining. I have no better experience than you do, my man.
Oh, man. And then while you're also over at that YouTube channel, check out the other podcasts. We got Winning Picks Weekly, also partnered with Minute Media. John, video producer Greg, and our guy and co-host Jim Murphy. These guys go through every sport possible. Right now, it's college football and NFL. These guys are giving you their betting takes. So if you need to put money down the line, these guys got you covered.
Murdered last week.
Yeah, you did. And then last and certainly not least, please make sure to follow us on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, you name it. We are there. Thank you again to Tommy for joining us today. We'll catch you all later next week for a rapid reaction of this Jets Steelers game. We out.
Let's go Jets. Let's go Aaron Judge.